So I don't know about you, Sonia, but I really do find myself in this caught in the middle, right? Like I
Hmm.
work for a company that I mean, I've been using AI while you and I have been chatting. I've been asking Claude, using meltwater data, all these questions to get the answers. So AI is helpful. My wife the other day, she comes back from work and she says, "Oh God, I'm so sick of AI." She's a teacher's assistant. So what happened? You know, the this particular person from the school district and this particular person from the school district, at the end of the year, they both sent a thank you email to all the teachers. It was clearly written by AI. And she's like, I'm just so sick of it. And there is that, everybody has that feeling. As someone who relies on AI personally, but also since we talk about it a lot at Meltwater, but
Hmm.
I know that almost every human being has that reaction, which is like, I am just so sick of AI. And
Mm.
so that's why I was kind of tickled by this thing that I saw. I was scrolling on Instagram and I saw the Harvard commencement speech by Ronny Chieng, and I'm a big comedy fan, and I watch The Daily Show, and I kind of like Ronny Chieng because he's the more provocative, like
Hmm.
angry Singaporean guy, and he has a bit of an Australian accent, so maybe I find it easier to understand him. But he went on a tirade about AI. Have you seen the speech, Sonia? Did you watch it?
I haven't, no. But
Oh
I'm gonna
man,
have to go watch it after this.
I mean, he drops f bombs. That's how he opened, or at least the clip that I saw. Um, the if the speech had a title, it would be FAI. Um, and he said, and then he made some fantastic jokes about how people brag about using it to write emails. And he goes, you know what else writes emails really well? Any human being, like
Yeah.
just do it. So there is that whole efficiency, but just like what my wife was talking about,
Hmm.
when it is AI and when we don't disclose and all these things, it can really rub people the wrong way. But what was interesting was how he brought it up to be a generational thing. He said that the mission of your generation, speaking to the graduates of
Hmm.
Harvard, is to destroy AI. I hope that doesn't happen, but there is a part of me that's kind of cheering for destroying the negative aspects
Hmm.
and destroying the stigma, and which is really just a way of saying, let's move on to the next thing. I'm sick of this phase. And I think a
Hmm.
lot of other people are. So I looked at it, and news media, the 19 articles I looked at, 15 of them were negative about what he was saying, criticizing him for what he was saying. And then I was looking at where this all started on social media. Reddit was really where the discussion kind of blew up and lit the fuse, so to speak. So first the story broke in the news, but then Reddit was really where the discussion happened. And the majority of posts on Reddit were positive. They were
Hmm.
saying that what he was saying was great and they were really getting behind him, which is interesting because Reddit is a key ingredient in AI LLM training models. So it's we live in a world of irony, and I just think the fact that his little speech just got so much attention, it goes to show you that there are some really underlying unresolved negative feelings.
Yeah, so I looked up the speech. I didn't actually watch it. So part of the things that stood out to me from what he said were these quotes. Untalented people love bragging about using AI to help them draft their speeches, their scripts, their podcasts, their promo videos for UFC fights at the White House. What they're missing is this: the creating is the fun part. And the other one is our generation's upcoming battle is going to be with people of substance versus people with shallow knowledge, mastery versus faking it, people with good taste versus tacky. And I think he delineated that he is for AI pioneering breakthroughs in science, medicine, physics, but he's against it in terms of creating like art, conversational like writing, that kind of stuff. And I think that that's what we've talked about here as well, right? Where it's like there is this clear bifurcation between the people who want to be writing books, creating art that are very anti-AI, for creating that art, that I think is a very clear and obvious thing that people can get behind. My bigger thing is that a lot of people just don't know what it means to use AI or how
Hmm.
to use AI, right? Recently I saw that this animator had won this prize to work with Amazon to use AI to create a like cartoon. And he announced that I would be using, AI working with Amazon. So proud and excited to, be one of the first to do this. He got so pilloried that he eventually quit and like apologize for even like doing it. And I thought there was a huge miss here because he didn't explain how AI was going to help, right? Because the main thing that they were trying to do is how do we bring costs down, right? And when people think AI animation, oh, you're just going to use AI to copy other people's art and use it to create your own art. That's the like PR that you're running up against, right? If he had gone in and explained, we're going to use it to like, cut costs on these things and this is how, and show that like he had thought about it not as a way of, getting rid of artists and their jobs and artistry, but to help them create what they're trying to create better, more
Mhm.
effectively, more efficiently, then it could have gone his way. Part of the problem is he doesn't even know. He doesn't even know what he's signing up for, right? And I think it's on us that do use AI to be able to talk about that, right? I'm helping it clean up my grammar, which is kind of what I've done, before with like Grammarly, right? I use Super Whisper to like transcribe what I'm saying and then clean up what I say. It's not removing me or like my thoughts or like my creativity and like what I think, right? It's just kind of cleaning out like what, would have taken me a little bit longer to do before, right? And as a person that like, I'm like a fractional marketer, I, have my own business, I have a lot of clients I have to stay on top of. I've found that it helps me like project manage or like cut, like minutes or like, 15 to 20-minute chunks that would have taken me before to like, basically minutes. And that's where it's like, if I can talk about my experience using AI in that way to help me project manage, to help me, cut down and reduce, how much time I was spending before, that's where it's like, it makes sense for a way to help people. Just for people to use AI to help them do their jobs. And I think it would remove how much people are associating it taking over people's jobs, right? Because that wasn't a job that people are, would be
Mhm.
doing before, right? Like that was just more of my time I was having to use before. And I think that that's a huge thing that like, people that believe in AI are proponents of AI and think that it is going to change things. We have to be talking about AI in a way that is understandable to people and not scary, The other thing is like that reminds me of where Meta had recently announced, actually, they didn't announce it. People inside the company basically leaked that Mark Zuckerberg had said that it had installed in every employee's computer a like tracker in order to train the AI to do their job eventually. Like that's an aspect of AI that like people are it's easy to get to be against, right? Because it's like, oh, you are actively training the models to remove human jobs, right? So I think there needs to be that difference of like
Or
what
what's
we're talking
worse?
about.
What's worse? Meta doing that and letting people know that they're doing it automatically, or Amazon asking people to document everything that they're doing so that they can also do the same
Hmm.
thing. It's almost like one company said, hey, this is part of your job. You have to document it. You need to
Hmm.
manually train the machine, and Meta's just doing it automatically. And I think
Hmm.
there was an interesting story that just came up yesterday. We use AI obviously here
Hmm.
to transcribe all of our calls,
Yeah.
and it's great for me because anytime a colleague of mine mentions my program, I get to see exactly how people understand the challenges of their jobs, and I'm supposed to help them. So I get an alert about a different conversation. Someone was talking about something totally different, and I overheard this conversation then using AI transcription. And a customer was telling the story of an analyst on the team actively getting in the way of helping our AI tool help them do their job.
Mm.
Because if they were doing it the way that it was designed, it should take 10 minutes. So the customer said to his own colleague, he said, why are you doing this manually? And it's literally taking this person about 9 hours worth of work to go through the data.
Mhm.
Why are you doing that? And he said he could tell that there was this colleague of his had trepidations because, well, if it takes 10 minutes, then I'm out of a job. So he messaged her boss and said, will you tell, let's call her Stephanie, will you tell Stephanie that if this takes 10 minutes, she's not out of a job? The boss writes back, yes, absolutely. I guarantee her employment. Then what happened next? It took 10 minutes. And
Mhm.
then Stephanie said, this is great. And Stephanie's time was freed up to do something else. So back to the topic of whose job is going to go away.
Mhm.
It was interesting that everyone in Hollywood freaked out, all the creatives, because they were
Mhm.
like, this is going to take my job. But what I have found is that the creatives are no longer worried and
Mhm.
shouldn't be worried because AI sucks at creative.
Yeah.
It's really good at the scientific, the analytical, and it's the analytical people, the scientific, they're the ones whose jobs will actually be impacted,
Mhm.
but they already know how to work with AI. So then I still haven't seen any really negative repercussions or jobs being taken away. But I have heard people say, like I have a guy who's in private equity, real estate finance. He's like, well, my job's not going to be necessary in a little bit because AI is really good at making objective decisions. If you want to
Mhm.
design something that connects to people's feelings, then you need a human with some emotional empathy who knows how to create something that connects.
Mhm.
And I'm not sitting here saying like everyone is going to be okay, but I do wish everyone would just move on and say like, oh, AI is bad because AI sucks. Like
Yeah.
it's just too broad a statement. But then
Yeah. Yeah.
again, narratives are powerful, and the current
Yeah.
narrative on AI is inaccurate, but
Mhm.
it is the narrative. You got to deal with it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But that's why it's like the example that you gave of Stephanie, right? Where she's focused on that. Well, if I no longer take 9 hours of work to be doing this thing, what will I then do? Well, is the obvious answer not then? You will do more of what you were doing that you couldn't possibly do before because now you've freed up what, 8 hours and like 50 minutes of your time to do, other stuff. I had this happen recently to me. I had to get my car serviced and I called them and they had an AI, customer agent. And at first I was like, "Oh my God, how do I just get to a human, right?" But I like went through it because I was driving, so I like, couldn't be pressing buttons. And then as I'm going, through like the AI, I realized that I didn't have a hard time hearing what they were saying. I didn't feel bad personally of asking them to repeat themselves because I know it's just like a robot. It doesn't
Mm,
care how many times I
mm,
ask them to repeat itself. I was able to ask for more like date and time options than I ever would have asked of a
mm,
human because I'm like, oh, I feel bad like making them go back and
right.
like look in their calendar system. But I didn't have that feeling with an AI. I'm like, no, no, look at Monday, look at Thursday. What about two? And then like I had to call back to like confirm that we were going to get a loaner car. And I can guarantee you that I never would have called if I knew that I would have to talk to a human to ask them a question that I thought like I should know because I made the appointment. But
Yeah.
was totally fine calling knowing that I was going to get to talk to
Yeah.
AI and they would just like answer my question and be like, okay, thank you. And then like leave, right? If that's the like opportunity for like AI going forward, like where it's like you do get some customer service examples that are better than like the
Mm.
current process, then like we need to be open to these things changing the way things work for the better, not just always focus on like the negative because there's always going to be negative. Yes, like
Mm.
there are some people that might have to change the way that they do their jobs, right? Maybe it'll be in a way that makes them be able to be more creative or be more assertive and not have to do as much of the inane things that AI is really good at. So,
Here's the really specific thing about what Stephanie's situation highlights. Stephanie's only job was reporting. So if the report that she currently it takes 9 hours to do takes 10 minutes, then she feels like she's out of a job. Are we advocating that she now has to do a creative job? Is she going to have to learn skills of being a creative writer? No, actually, you know what's going to happen? Exactly what you're describing. Her boss, knowing that when her boss asks a question, it takes Stephanie 9 hours to produce the answer. But now, if her boss knows that it takes Stephanie 10 minutes to produce the answer, her boss is going to ask more questions.
mhm,
Then Stephanie's job does not become some creative writer or flower arranger.
mhm,
She becomes a super analyst, someone
mhm,
who actually adds human context and helps the boss say, you know what, you asked the question wrong. I know how to use this. And that's what we've seen. So I think
yeah,
there's a natural fear of the unknown, which is, oh, do I have to learn a new job? No, you're just going to get so much better at your job because guess what? Your job is not the output, it's the
mhm,
outcome. It's
mhm,
not producing the report, it's helping your boss make a better decision. And that's
mhm,
what took me. I mean, I'm 42. When I first started in my career, and I'm sure you were like this too, you just want to get the job done. You're not
mhm,
really thinking about how this adds value. And that's what humans do better than AI. The Stephanies of the world are going to
mhm.
learn how they're actually producing value, not producing outputs.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, totally agree. And I think that that's a thing that, like, for the people that are looking to level up, learning the strategy, learning how to analyze the data and not just like report on it. That's like the opportunity of like, how do you focus on those human um, qualities that like we still do better than AI, and learn to upskill yourself to be not just more relevant in your own job, but for the future roles that you
Yep,
may or want to get to.
exactly.
Okay, cool. So let's round it out with lessons.
This one is easy because it's one lesson.
Hmm.
Okay, is creating two types of people. There's people who act like the cat with a laser pointer, who are just freaking out at they're reacting to it.
Hmm.
And then there's the person holding the laser pointer. And if you are using AI, not to write emails and speeches and heartfelt things, but if you're using AI to help figure out how you can be better at your job, then you are the person using the laser pointer. And if you're just sitting here on the sidelines saying like AI is evil and let's destroy it and blah, 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 again, you can see in Ronnie's speech, he does say where it can be used. And that's
Hmm.
where you want to be the human with a laser pointer. You don't want to be the cat reacting to it. And that to me is the lesson is
Hmm.
before you form a strong opinion on something, you kind of got to get your hands dirty with it and really figure it out for yourself. I almost guarantee people will find that there are benefits to it and that
Hmm.
there are severe consequences. And you
Yeah.
just got to learn how to avoid the consequences before you just write something off.
Hmm. Yes, agree. So I got two lessons here. One is that the premium on judgment is going to go up as the cost of competence goes down. Basically means that like the more that you can figure out how to use AI to help you do your job in a way that's more effective and less time consuming, the better that you're going to learn the judgment, the taste, the creativity, and strategy to make your job more of a stronghold at the company that you're at. The other thing is that creating is the fun part. So, how do you figure out how to, use AI to not do the boring stuff in order for you to focus on the creative stuff? I think most marketers would love to do more of like the strategy and coming up with campaigns and tactics based on ideas that we see every day, ideas that you learn here from, brands that are doing it better at like higher levels because they have teams or larger teams, right? Um, how do you use AI to help you use these ideas for your own marketing campaigns? That's like the opportunity here. And we should be excited to have that ability to, basically, copy ourselves, right? Still have that, be done through AI, but then use the rest of our time to do the stuff that we actually want to spend time on.
Well said. Well said.
Thank you. Okay.